If you're looking to book an Alaskan cruise and you're considering Princess, then our full cruise Alaskan review is for you. Ooh, hi, it's Lynn from Sweet Natured. As always, I'm joined by Marky.
Hello.
Hello, and we've been on the wine, and you put the video together, and this is my first time watching, so let's see what we can see.
Well, I think I should just qualify after that introduction that I didn't have the wine before I did the editing.
No.
We've had a glass of wine now. We've started doing the voiceover element.
No, I was drinking the wine while you were editing.
This is true. It's nice outside.
It is gorgeous outside today.
Anyway, enough of that.
We digress.
We digress slightly. Full cruise review of our Alaskan cruise on Ruby Princess. And we're going to start off with Embarkation.
Ooh.
Now, we travelled over to Vancouver, which was our port of departure.
Yes.
From the UK, from Gatwick, sort of. From Heathrow.
Yes, Gatwick.
Gatwick, of course. And it's quite a long flight, and we had about an hour and a half delay as well. So from setting off in the morning when we left the hotel to getting over there, we're about 14 hours. So we'd planned on sort of doing a lot more stuff when we got there, and the reality was we actually just had a drink and a meal and then went to bed.
That's very us.
It wasn't that particular night. But actually getting on the ship, I don't know about you, I were a little bit concerned as to how busy it was going to be.
Well, also, we'd seen some sort of nightmare stories, but we booked a Princess transfer, and Princess took us from the hotel very efficiently to the port, which was only about 10 minutes. We had to pick someone else up.
Yeah.
But it was very smooth. I'm going to say smooth.
Smooth. It was. And going through Vancouver port, again, we'd heard that it can be quite slow and everything like that, and we flew through.
But also, we were aliens.
Well, yeah, absolutely. it was a predominantly American and Canadian passenger cruise list, although there were about 200 from Australia. But there were very few from sort of Europe, and therefore
we had his own desk.
When we went through the customs area, we just went straight through, whereas the queue for Canada and America were a lot longer.
Huge, loved it.
And before we knew it, we were on board, getting a drink, a 24-carat gold margarita.
Of course.
Which is what you demand when we go on a Princess cruise. And then we were sat just sort of chilling. So we can't really fault it, and we've given it 9 out of 10, which I think is fair enough.
It's lost a point because that's not a margarita glass.
It's not. But before we carry on with the review, would you like to invite people to subscribe?
I would love to invite you to subscribe. Thank you, as always, if you already have done.
And if you could hit that thumbs up button and like it, and feel free to share, that'd be fantastic.
Okay.
And you can follow along on, and I won't mean you can hit the thumbs up buttons. You can also follow along on social media at Sweet Natured.
I can put my thumb up if you want.
Thank you. I won't comment on that. Next up, accommodation. We had originally booked a mini suite.
Yes.
And we used the upgrade program to bid for a reserve collection mini suite, which gives you slightly better position one, right in the middle of the ship, and also access to the reserve collection restaurant in the main dining room.
Yes. Oh, can we just talk? Why? Just why these on-the-run for murder motel hair dryers are in cruise ships? I hate them.
It's long overdue a bit of a refresh, I feel, the ship. There's no modern bits. The hairdryer worked. It was powerful enough, but there's no USB in the room.
No.
It feels a little bit dated.
Yes.
And when you see it on the balcony at the end, it definitely needs a refresh there. There's quite a bit of rust and bits and pieces in there. Having said that, the room was fantastic.
We loved it. We really did.
The position of it was brilliant. We were only a few steps to the stairs and the elevators.
But not too close to them.
Not so that it were noisy. There were plenty of space in there. We were only on it for 7 nights, but I would have been quite happy in that room for a lot longer cruise.
Yes. Yeah.
And the balcony, which is the thing as far as I was concerned, I was most bothered about it being Alaskan, and we wanted to sit out there and sort of use it probably more than we would on other cruise lines.
Yeah.
Or the cruises, rather, was absolutely fantastic.
Loved it.
You see what I mean about
it's a little tired.
It just needs a bit of a refresh for the cabins and everything else, but that should not stop you booking on this ship, and it definitely shouldn't stop you booking this cabin.
No.
Because we thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
and we give it 8.5 out of 10.
We did? Okay, yes, okay.
We have got full sort of reviews separately for the cabin, the restaurants, the specialty dining, the inclusive.
About the hairdryer.
And you talk about the hairdryer more on that one as well.
Oh, I'm obsessed.
But having that sort of view is absolutely fantastic. Next up, we don't always cover this on our cruise reviews.
No, we don't, no.
On Alaska, you can't really not talk about the itinerary and the ports because that's really why you're going there. It's like the fjords.
Yes.
It's a long way to go, certainly from our side of the world. And we did the Inside Passage one. What's your thoughts on it?
I liked it.
I liked it.
No, I really enjoyed the Inside Passage. I don't know what the Outside Passage would have been like because I think you're more in the sea, but I liked it.
I think if it's the first time you go into Alaska, without question, I would say do the Inside Passage. And that's the general belief that you're stopping off at 3 of the big stops there on this particular one, which were Juneau,
yes,
Skagway,
yes,
Ketchikan,
yes,
and going to the Endicott Arms and the Dawes Glacier.
I've been on so much wine, but I've noticed my brolly is broken.
It is broken. That's why you've got a different brolly
I've
now.
got a new brolly now that Her Majesty the Queen used to favour.
Not a specific one, just to be clear. But the ports and the stops I thought were fantastic. When it's the first time you're going over, it felt genuinely Alaska, even though they're touristy.
Yeah.
Juneau in particular is a much bigger port than say Ketchikan.
Yeah.
And definitely than Skagway. But they all felt amazing. But for me, one of the best bits was travelling between them.
Loved it. When we were, look at this. Sat having a drink as we cruised out, the mountains, the scenery, gorgeous.
And it didn't matter whether it was sunny or rainy.
No.
It was just as stunning to sit out there looking at it.
Yeah.
This is in Skagway.
Oh, we've just got off the train.
We have. Now, when we went into Skagway, we were supposed to be docked up, but we were a little bit later in, so we ended up tendering for coming in there.
Yes.
But then by the time we came back off, the ship had then
moved.
And
they picked us up from... Yeah.
And we could get back on there.
Oh, I loved these.
The little doughboys.
Oh, my God. You say little.
Well, yeah. We had one to share. That isn't just yours.
Oh.
But this was one of the stops that we were so excited for going on this train. And we have got a full White Pass review, which is just an amazing excursion. Again, we don't normally cover excursions as part of this, but this is a bucket list one for a lot of people.
It's a bucket list one, and we saved hundreds of dollars because I wanted to go in that front carriage right at the front there.
Oh, there's one at the back, the luxury ones on this one.
Yeah, and
I'm glad we didn't.
I'm glad we didn't. And that's saying something for me. Maybe bring a hip flask.
I don't know if you're allowed to take alcohol on board.
That's why you have a hip flask.
So that it's discreet.
Yeah.
Okay.
My whales.
And again, that's one of the reasons why you would look at doing these itineraries. The wildlife, we saw birds all the time, we saw seals, we saw whales a few times. There were more than just the whales that we saw, it's just that's the only ones we had on camera. But just those sort of views, you don't get anywhere else. You know, we love the fjords.
Yes.
But if I had to pick going to one or the other...
I was like an emotional wreck.
You were. Would you pick Alaska over the fjords? Or would you need to think about that more?
No, I'd do the fjords again, but this was just... It hit me a lot harder than I ever imagined it would.
Well, you use the term emotional a lot when talking about Alaska.
Emotional. So emotional. Like...
I mean, there's a picture towards the end of this that I took of you leaning over the balcony at 3:15 in the morning.
With the sunrise.
With the sunrise. And you sort of turned around afterwards and you were just like almost streaming in tears.
I'm filling up now thinking about it, honestly.
And that's sort of one of the main reasons why, you know, people will go to that. This is Ketchikan where we've just got off now, pulled into. And this is famous for having, is it Creek Street?
Yes.
At the bottom of Ender, and you'll see on the video in a minute, we do walk down there. And this was lovely, but when we went in, I think there were 5 or 6 ships in there.
There was
5
quite
big
a few,
ones,
yeah.
and then there was also seaborne as well.
Oh,
And,
fancy.
so, it does get very, very busy, which means if you're thinking about an excursion, if there's one you want specifically, book it in advance.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, there were no shortage of excursions available
No,
when we got
not
off.
at all. Not at all.
And we had to change our plans when we were in Juneau because
Of the
the
rain.
rain were really heavy. The helicopters weren't flying. There were a couple of seaplanes, but not that many. But it wouldn't have been a problem to any of the stops because there were places that you could book an excursion
Yeah.
if you weren't using the cruise line.
That salmon donut.
You loved it, didn't you?
I did love it. It was so... Come a little face.
I was so happy with it. But from our point of view, the itineraries and the port was everything that we hoped it were going to be.
Well, it was more. It was more.
Well, I'll give it 10 out of 10 because we don't give 11s. Restaurants and food, we were a little bit concerned having sort of our previous ship to this was Sun Princess.
Yes.
Where there's a lot of choice of food. It's got the new galley eatery, rather.
It's got an Alfredo's.
It had an Alfredo's, which we thought this had before we got on.
Oh, it was so sad.
And we were a little bit concerned as to would it be a little bit more limited? Would the service not be as good? What did you think?
I missed Alfredo's because I love Alfredo's pizza. But I also loved... What does that say? Crab Shack. I loved that, which is an additional charge experience. But yeah,
There's a lot fewer specialty dinings on this one.
Oh, salty dog, you can go.
You nearly swore then, didn't you?
I've been on the wine.
You have. You've got Crown Grill and Sabatini's from the specialities, and then Crab Shack was a pop-up on 2 of the days, which is used in Crown Grill.
Ooh, pop-up.
And then you've got 2 casual ones, which are normally $14.99 if you haven't got Princess Plus or Premier, which is Salty Dog, and we'll let you watch the specialty dining one if you want the review on that. Spoiler, it doesn't get a good score. And the Vines as well, which is just more sort of small plate food to have with your wine.
With your wine.
But you haven't got a lot of others. However, the main dining room
Yes.
was... I genuinely can't think of a better main dining room experience we've had in the last decade.
I'm just trying to think. Oh, they looked after us so well. Nicola with his pasta station.
Well, that's it. That pasta that you made there was made just behind you by our maitre d' in the reserve collection.
Yes.
Now, if you're not in the reserve collection, you don't get that element to it. But the rest of the food on the main dining room menu is the same.
I don't just eat chips.
And you can take chips from upstairs and back down at your balcony. But that was so nice. We took them up, and then you saw the whales.
The whales literally popped up below my balcony.
They smelt the chips and mayonnaise.
I think they just sensed me.
And then Sabatini's on there from a speciality point of view. We thought that was the best Sabatini's we've ever eaten in.
It was.
Far better than the one on
Sun Princess, most definitely.
The service was amazing.
The venue,
setting,
yes.
The venue was just absolutely fantastic. And therefore, from a food point of view, we've given 8.5 out of 10. There were a couple of lower points, but generally speaking...
Lower points.
We won't comment on that. Bars and drinks. This is Lindsay's speciality subject.
It is my speciality subject. Dun, 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 dun.
Dun, dun. So what's your thinking on the bars and drinks on Ruby? So obviously we've done the review on the Princess Premier package and we love that, but we're talking specifically about the ship.
I love drinks.
People probably are aware of that.
I love a cocktail. I didn't like that one, obviously. But I would say hit and miss, because when you're on the Premier package, you can try new things. You can try new drinks, and that's what I do.
The bars were generally on the smaller side. Our favourite bar ended up being Crooners, which was fantastic. So it had live music in there a lot. The service was phenomenal, which is where we're in now.
Yeah.
But yeah, Good Spirits Bar were tiny.
tiny.
We never got to actually have a drink in there, because every time we went near it, there was no space. It was far smaller than we've seen on any
other ship. And we like a Good Spirits, but we loved Crooners on this ship.
We did. And like the Vines bit, which is their wine one, didn't really feel like a wine bar.
No.
It just because that's at the side of the main piazza opposite the International Cafe.
Yeah.
And people would go get something to eat and then go sit in there with it. Mm-hmm. So it didn't feel like a bar.
I liked this.
But when we went to Endicott Arms, which is what this is,
It's sailing up to the glacier.
they were doing fresh cocktails, Bloody Marys as well as mimosas.
At 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
8 o'clock. If you know me, that's a great time for me to have a drink.
And that's why they got 8.5 out of 10. I gave them an extra point for that for you. Oh. So the bar's not as great. Crooner's fantastic, but drinks, brilliant.
Now, I was saying then, no, you won't like this, weren't I? Because I loved that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it wasn't for you. It was too spicy for you.
We're looking at entertainment now.
Okay.
Now, it probably isn't going to come as much of a surprise. It's an older, smaller ship that you're not getting the big Broadway productions on.
No, you're not.
But entertainment does start from as soon as you get on.
Yeah.
There's music playing when you get onto it. The sail away party was far busier than I expected.
Yeah.
And you'll see in a second. I thought it was going to be a much more subdued cruise due to the nature of it. I thought it would be more quiet and not as many people. It did go to bed early cruise.
But you were busy during the day. You were up early. You had things to do. So you had after dinner and then you'd have an after dinner drink. You were shattered. You wanted to go to bed.
Yeah, there were practically nobody up by 11 o'clock at night.
Everybody was shattered.
Including us quite a few of the nights. And bonus point in the comments if you can tell what Lindsay was singing along to there. It's not that difficult.
I'd also like to say that's no affiliation.
And fair enough. But as you say, the entertainment on board was the usual mix of impromptu pop-up. I say impromptu, they're not impromptu.
They're booked. They're on the schedule.
The pop-up ones like in the Crooner's Bar, down in the Piazza. And if I'm honest, they were some of my favourite ones.
In the Crooners,
yeah. We just get a drink and they were really funny and they were really good. There's the usual trivia on there. I've left the answer into that so that people weren't confused by it.
That's kind of you.
I know. And then the main theatre.
Yes.
The Princess Theatre, which is quite big, but
Look
also
at me
quite
with a
traditional.
flap.
And then we found these for putting your drinks on. Had little airplane tables in it. So, yeah, you were delighted by that, weren't you?
I look a bit drunk again.
Well, we didn't get a drink in that one that particular day.
I can't imagine I was sober, though.
No, there's no chance of that. But the performances on board were good. It's not that I'm taking anything away from them. And it's certainly better than what you see on Cunard.
Oh, Cunard is from another time.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's if you've got used to the big productions on, for instance, Royal Caribbean
Yes.
Or Disney,
It does seem a little bit...
it's a little bit dated
Yes.
in terms of
But it was lovely.
comparable.
Yeah, it was lovely.
And you had the usual sort of comedians and ventriloquists and various stuff over and above that as well. There were no shortage of things to do.
No.
And, you could even do axe throwing.
Why didn't I do this?
Well, where do you think you were at this point that I came down to do this?
Was I asleep?
You was asleep. You'd had a couple of drinks and you were having a nap and I was like, okay,
I'd had lunch and then a couple of drinks.
I didn't do great at the axe throwing though.
I would have been great at that.
I'm positive you would have been. Relaxing on board. Relaxing is always subjective when we do these because, for some people, relaxing is getting in the hot tub.
I love a hot tub.
You checked it out and a few minutes later we're like, yeah, it's warm enough, let's get in it. So, it's different for everyone. For other people, it might be doing, laying down like I was there with my shoes off and looking up at the world.
I think I had another margarita here, didn't I?
There's a strong probability of that. Going for a swim, going down into the spa, having a massage. It could be going up on the sport deck and doing the mini golf, or as is the case on every cruise ship these days, pickleball tournaments. There's no shortage of things to do. For us, we just like finding a hot tub or going on the balcony, having a drink and watching the world go by. 'Cause
yes.
For us, that's what we wanted out of an Alaska cruise.
Yes.
Do you feel that we got that? Because that's what we said we wanted before we went.
Yes.
It is a very, very easy cruise to relax on. I suspect that would be the case no matter what ship you went to Alaska.
Well, it's because when you're in the port, you're busy. You're very busy. So you're looking at things, you're experiencing things, you're seeing things, you're doing things. So when you get back on, you just want to chill.
Yeah. And there wasn't a huge amount of sort of major activities going on.
No, but you were too busy.
But from a relaxing point of view, for us, we didn't want that. There was a library you could go sit and read, but we went and played chess a few times.
We played chess a few times.
But for us,
We
it
love
was
a game of chess,
predominantly
though.
just chilling, watching the space, having a walk round, and we've given it 10 out of 10. Because if you can't relax on a cruise ship in Alaska,
Was
you're
no
probably
hope
never
for you.
going to relax, are you? So it's sort of where we are from
Yeah.
that perspective. Next up, back end of the cruise, disembarking.
Oh,
It's always the sad bit of it. It was pretty efficient. We had a little bit of a delay. We had about an hour from when we had breakfast to when we could get off. They were a little bit behind because of customs when we got off.
that old chestnut.
And then when we actually got off the ship, it took about 40 minutes to get through the massive queue at customs once we
Yeah.
got the bags.
Yeah.
That wasn't Princess's fault in any way.
No, not at all.
It would have been exactly the same for whoever went in. But from our point of view, we give it 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Nothing majorly wrong with it, and it let us get on the ship and sort of get off the ship, get to the airport, and make it our way home. Value for money.
Okay.
Now, there's no beating around the bush on this. Going to Alaska is not cheap,
No.
especially if you're coming from the Europe side of the world.
And you've got that big
or
flight.
Australia, because there were a lot there from Australia. You got a huge chunk of airfare on there. The cruises are, compared to, for instance, the Med, probably about double the price
Yes.
on a per passenger per night basis. But for a lot of people, it's a bucket list cruise.
It's a bucket list cruise, but I didn't realise it was a bucket list cruise until I'd been on the cruise. Because, as you know, you wanted to do this. I was like, eh. But I found it very emotional and very insightful.
Well, what was your specific reference to Wales when I said we'll better see Wales?
Meh, Wales.
Met Wales.
But I loved the whales when I saw them.
You did love
I
it?
was because I was an emotional creature all the time.
Now, the other thing to take into account when you're looking at value for it is Princess compared to the other options, and there's lots of ships up there, Celebrity, Cunard, Carnival, and so on and so on and so on, is actually pretty good value for money.
You know what it is?
We've given
Even
8
though it's
out-
pricey.
We've given it 8 out of 10, but a cruise to Alaska is going to set you back £4,000, $6,000 for a week.
Each.
No, for 2 people. But it's what it is. But from our perspective, we did feel it was good value for money.
Will we ever forget this cruise? No.
No, and we've given it 9 out of 10 because it was just an absolutely awesome experience. And like you said, we will never forget it. There's cruises that
No.
we've done that we remember bits of,
Yeah.
but don't stick there.
I will remember this for the rest of my life.
And that's a great way to end it, Linz.
Oh, thank you, darling. You say that. Cheers, darling.
Cheers, Linz.
Thank you for watching and have a lovely day.